Last night I had a situation where I was talking to somebody who had a very strong opinion about certain topics and subjects. And I made it quite clear that, from my perception anyway, we need to question everything, especially in this day and age of deep fakery, of AI and technological basis around information and misinformation, most importantly, and misdirection. So, what I was talking about in regards to where I was coming from with this woman was that we have a history, we have a knowledge that's been passed down from mystery schools, and that knowledge has come from deep antiquity. And there have been people in contemporary society and civilization in this time frame, people like Gigi Young, who have the ability to take a postmodern knowledge base and bring it into the contemporary society and explain it to us in a way that, if you would say that the same way that Blavatsky with the Theosophical Society, as Rudolf Steiner did in the early 20th century, as George Gurdjieff did in the early 20th century, they've taken an ancient knowledge and they've brought it into their particular present moment, as Gigi Young has done, and been able to discern that information and utilize it in a way that they are able to explain it to us in a way that it gives a contemporary basis for information. It's still the ancient knowledge that's been passed down through mystery schools, but it is now given to us in a way that we can understand it. But due to the mystic Gigi Young bringing that information forward for us to understand in a way that we can understand in our day and age, through the use of language, through the use of technology, through the use of a deeper knowing, due to the nature of how she explains it to us in a contemporary fashion, through the use of language especially. And this woman who I was talking to was telling me about how she was bringing all this information in and from spirit guides and guardians and angels and her higher nature, and that everything that I was saying basically held no water. And to her, which is her perspective, and she's entitled to it, right? But I did say to her, and I will repeat this again, question everything. Question everything. Even everything that you're receiving, question it. And I say this especially now due to the nature of many procedures that have taken place and what we have in regards to a framework with communication, because the two are intertwined. Now, in 2020, when the world governments which are corporations, decided it was necessary and essential to create the 5G communications network and put it up when people were locked down in their homes. That was for those people who understand the nature of the book written, I think it was sometime in the 20th century, Silent Weapons for a Quiet War. They understood that the nature of the use of technology to be able to have voice to skull frequency was discovered and was worked upon for decades before 2020. So what became of this was, in my perception, was this. Now, I'm not alone in this perception either, and I'm discerning this information. I still have lots of questions around this, right? In 2020, the infrastructure was built for the ability to transpond and to send frequencies and messages along a communications network. The 5G technology we know was originally used as a military grade technology, right? All communications networks, as far as I understand, and I could be wrong, all communications networks originally may have been military first before they became public, right? And into the private sector, and then into the public sector. Military, private, and into the public. So the infrastructure was built for the 5G network in the 2020s, early 2021, across the entire world, right? Then what happened in 2021, and into 2020, into 2020, and then into 2021, and then from then onwards, we've had this medical procedure where people have been inoculated with a particular medical procedure. In that inoculation, many people, like Kita Columba, in my country of birth, Dr. Mark Bailey, other researchers have done research with electron microscopes to look at the blood work of people and to look at the inoculation fluids, and have seen nanotech and self-assembling tech within those inoculation fluids. Now the question is, what is it for? Why is it there? What's it for? Does it align? Does it communicate with the 5G infrastructure? Is this happening? So if you have this inoculation fluid put into your body, does the self-assembling nanotech, which operates at the body temperature and assembles at the body temperature, does it communicate with the 5G network, the infrastructure? Is there a communication happening there with the 5G network? And this is the question that I was asking this young woman. Is there a situation here? The question is there a situation where the nanotech that's been put into your body through an inoculation, is it self-assembled, and is it attuning itself to a network, to the infrastructure of the 5G network? Are you receiving broadcasts? Because we know that DNA is an antenna. We know that. We've known it for a long time. And it picks up on frequency bands. It picks up on frequency and resonance. So if your DNA is a frequency, is an antenna, and it picks up on frequencies, if you've had this inoculation, which is got an mRNA in the inoculation, has that mRNA changed your DNA? And what does it change your DNA to? What is it changed in your genes? We also know there's a video leaked from the DoD where Bill Gates is lecturing members of the high-ranking generals in the DoD back in, I think it was the 2000s, about how they have the ability to turn off genes for fanaticism in people, right? Has the military taken that technology and ran with it? We also know that a certain inoculation was actually now with the paperwork available to us, we know it's a fact that inoculation came out of the DoD and DARPA. So we have, the DoD got this information from Bill Gates in regards to being able to inoculate people with a certain injection that turned off their ability, the gene for fanaticism. Have they ran with that? Have they come to a place where they've been able to to find the gene that connects consciousness to source energy, to spirit guides, to spirit world, to the spirit world astral planes, to communicate with high levels of existence? Have they found with the research and with the knowledge they have, the ability to turn off a particular gene in the body, in the human biology, in the biology of men and women, that enables them to turn off the gene that enables consciousness to communicate to higher levels of awareness? Have they found that? And is it in the inoculation? These are all questions. I don't have the answers. These are all questions. Has that happened? And if you have had this medical procedure, is the nanotech in your body, is the mRNA turned off your ability to connect to higher worlds, higher levels of consciousness, and as the nanotech that self-assembles in your body, does that enable the 5G network? If there's an AI talking and moving through that network infrastructure, if there's AI that wants to communicate through that network, is that network set up so the AI can communicate through the 5G network to the biology, to the nanotech in the body, and therefore you are receiving what we would say potentially voice to skull information, voice to skull technologies being beamed into people's minds, and what they're hearing is not their own thoughts, not their spirit guides, not higher worlds, but AI projecting into their brains, into their minds, into their bodies, information that's completely misinformation and misdirection. Are they receiving messages from AI that are telling them information that they believe to be their own voice, their own spirit guides, their own guardians, their own angels, higher levels, higher worlds. These are questions. I don't have the answers to these questions. I'm only asking questions. Has this happened? Have the people who have had these inoculations, who have considered themselves to be very conscious and spiritual, have they and are they receiving information? Are they receiving information through the network, from space, from satellites from space? Are they receiving information through the 5G network, from their cell phones, from their computers, from their smart devices in their houses, through the 5G network? Are they now an antennae through this nanotechnology which is in their bodies? And this is the thing. I think people that don't read this book, Silent Weapons for a Quiet War, will not understand the nature of the technology, right? So it's essential that you do your research and then you come to more questions. Because to me, I'm full of questions. I've got no answers here. I'm only questioning. Is this happening? Are people that have had these inoculations receiving information from AI that is coming through the infrastructure of the 5G network, through smart devices? Are they receiving voice to skull or frequency bands of information that are telling them information that they believe to be their own voices, their own spirit guides, their own higher nature, higher worlds? And what they're being taken out of is the organic life stream that the mystery schools talk about, that Steiner talks about, that Blavatsky talks about, that Gurdjieff talks about, that the mystery schools that came into the public in the 20th century are these people that have had these inoculations moving out of the life stream of what's considered to be the life stream evolution of the planetary consciousness, and therefore consciousness itself, because the two are intertwined. And they are now in an inorganic life stream, a divergent timeline, so to speak. Are they moving in a divergent timeline due to the nature of the choices they've made in regards to their inoculations, in regards to the use of technology that's been implanted into their bodies? Questions. I have only questions, no answers here. I'm not saying this is how it is. I'm just questioning. Are these people that are receiving this information, including this young lady, are they receiving information from a form of AI that's very well developed, a military grade AI or even an interdimensional AI that's giving them information, and they believe it to be, we're heading into this blah 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 blah, this new age claptrap of this golden age coming, and this wonderful ascension process, and we're heading into this, our body's going to become crystalline in the next 2 years, and we're going to ascend into the fifth dimension. Things like that. To me, it all sounds, I look at the mystery school work, and I look at the nature of the Steiner work, especially in regards to the ages and the epochs. They're thousands of years, literally thousands of years, as you move through an epoch, through an age within an epoch. It's thousands of years, not 2 years, it's thousands of years, and nothing's changed in there. And Steiner would be able to, in my perception as well, due to the nature of his work in the Akashic record and his spiritual work, would have been able to perceive that. And what he did perceive, and what he did say, is that there was going to be a vaccine created in the 21st century that would cut spirit off from the connection to the biology. He said that, presciently said that, and you can see it now in my perception, and I'm not alone here, that that's the case. And that's a fact. He said that, right? And it's up to people's discernment whether it's happened or not. I'm seeing it. I'm saying, yes, it has happened. That's a fact from my perception. And not belief, perception. Because it always changes. And as new information comes in, then I discern for myself what holds water and what doesn't. And for me right now, I'm asking more questions of people. Because what happened last night for me was someone got very, very vehement in their perception and said, no, this is the way, this is how it is. I was like, no. I think, and my feeling is, I like to question more. I like to question everything, as David Icke says. I'll question everything, and I will discern through misinformation and allow the information that comes to me to come to me, and then for me to discern for myself. I won't be told how it's going to be. I have my perceptions of reality, and they're mine, and they're no one else's. I'm never going to tell anybody else how to live their lives, but I will ask a lot of questions, because I want to question everything. Thanks for watching, I truly appreciate it. Mā te ua. I'll see you again soon.